All right, guys, welcome to week 2. I hope the first week of the e-learning went well for you. If you had any questions or issues, please email me on Eds B and we'll get those taken care of right away. Most of you are doing pretty well. Make sure you get those assignments to me on time. We're going to go over week 2 assignments, and then we're going to do the circulatory system notes. So first, let's go over what the assignments are for week 2. So week 2 assignments, biology. All assignments are due by Monday, April 13th. You have 1 week to complete all, just like the first week's assignments. You have 1 week to complete all of them. Assignment 1 is the circulatory system notes. So you're going to watch the circulatory system notes that are after I go over these assignments. Toward the end of this video, you'll see the notes. So watch the circulatory system notes YouTube video. Don't have to go over how to get to the video because obviously you made it here, right? Once you've watched the circulatory system notes video, then you're going to do the circulatory system notes quiz, which will show up on your Eds B feed just like it did for the first week. So you'll see something like this. I'm circling with my cursor here. It will show up circulatory system notes quiz. You will click on the button here and take the quiz, and you'll have more than one try at the quiz. Your first week, I gave you 3 tries. I'll probably give you 2, maybe 3 tries on this one. So check your grade. And if you didn't do, perfect, you can go back and you can try it again. So that's assignment 1, the notes, excuse me, and then the quiz. Assignment 2 is the circulatory system drawing using the circulatory system notes that I'll go over after I go over these assignments. Draw a diagram of the circulatory system as shown in the picture example. So here is the picture example. On Eds B, this example will show up at the bottom of the post. There'll be little, like 2 or 3 little squares you can click on. If you click on one of the squares, it will be this picture here. So you're going to draw this diagram of the circulatory system. So that's step 1. Step 2 is label all the parts of the circulatory system from the notes and color blood vessels coming from the lungs with arteries red. So you can see here in this picture, this is coming from the lungs here. So this would be oxygenated blood. So those blood vessels are going to be red. So all these here carrying oxygenated blood in this part of the heart with oxygenated blood is going to be red. And then blood vessels carrying not oxygenated blood that's going back to the lungs is going to be blue. So these veins, all of them here, and this side of the heart carrying not oxygenated blood going back to the lungs is going to be blue. So draw that diagram, color code it as I just said there, and then you're going to label these parts. All of these parts listed here, and all of these are shown in your notes. So that's step 2. Step 3, draw arrows showing the flow of blood through the blood vessels. So as you can see in this diagram, and as you'll see in the notes, it will show you the way that blood flows through the heart, through the chambers, to the lungs, from the lungs, through the heart, and then to the rest of the body. Add all of those arrows to your drawing. Make sure you do a nice job so I can see everything. All right, so step 4, how to turn in this assignment. Take a picture of your drawing with your phone. Make sure you look at the picture and make sure I can see that everything is labeled correctly. Make sure I can see all your arrows for how the blood flows, and then email me that picture on Eds B. So that's assignment 1, the circulatory system notes, and the quiz. Assignment 2 is the circulatory system drawing. Assignment 3 is the articles on heart health and questions. So you're going to read 2 articles about heart health, and I have links below. The first article is a Mayo Clinic article. So a Mayo Clinic is a famous medical clinic, a famous hospital. And someone who works at the Mayo Clinic wrote an article called 5 Medication-Free Strategies to Help Prevent Heart Disease. So this would be 5 ways without taking medicine to keep a healthy heart, to keep from getting heart disease. So you would follow the link to this article and read about those 5 things you can do to keep from getting heart disease without taking medication. The second article is by the Chicago Tribune. This is a famous newspaper in Chicago. A reporter at that newspaper wrote an article titled "Heart Tests Urged for Student Athletes." So you're going to read that article, and then you're going to answer questions about the 2 articles. So the Heart Tests Urged for Student Athletes, this is an article about a student who had a heart condition and didn't know that he or she had a heart condition, and then went out and competed in sports, and then had a medical situation where they had to go to the emergency room because of their heart condition. So now they're looking to have student athletes, students who want to participate in sports, to have their heart tested before they're allowed to participate in sports. So read that article as well. So step 2, answer the following questions about the Mayo Clinic article. After reading the article, rank the factors from most important to least important in your opinion and explain why. Number 1 will be the most important and number 5 will be the least important. Give a minimum of 2 sentences for each number explaining why you ranked it where you did. So you're going to read this article by the Mayo Clinic that talks about 5 ways that you can keep your heart healthy and prevent heart disease, 5 ways you can do that without taking medication, and then you're going to decide which one of those ways to stay healthy without medication that you think is the most important. You're going to rank that one number 1. And you're going to write 2 sentences explaining why that's the most important way to keep your heart healthy without medication. And you're going to rank the other 5 as well. You're going to rank another one number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and you're going to give 2 sentences explaining why you ranked them where you ranked them. You need to talk about that way, whatever it is, not smoking, not doing drugs, exercise. You're going to talk about it and tell me why you think it's the most important, the least important, or in the middle somewhere like that. All right? So 2 sentences for each number. 2 sentences for number 1, 2 sentences for number 2, for all of them. Step 3, answer the following questions about the Chicago Tribune article. So this is the article about heart testing for student athletes. So should this type of testing be required for all high school students? That's the main question that you're going to address. In your writing, you're going to address these 4 things. Should the heart testing be for only athletes, or should they test all students? So that's the first thing to address. Number 2, what if the school had no money to pay for the testing? So if the school requires that athletes or all students get tested, what if the school can't pay for the testing? What happens then? What should they do? Number 3, what if a student's family doesn't have the money to pay for the treatments? So a student gets tested, they find out they do have some sort of heart condition, but their family doesn't have the money to pay for the treatments. Is there any way to help them? What should be done at that point? Number 4, is it fair to tell students if they don't want to know? What if a student or a student's parents say, we don't want to know if my son or daughter has a heart condition? Is it still an obligation of the doctor to tell them? Should they not have to know that they have a heart condition? Tell me what you think. So I want a minimum of 6 sentences answering all these issues right here about the heart testing, right? All right, so step 4, how should I turn in this assignment? So I want you to type your answers from steps 2 and 3 into an email on Eds B and send it to me on Eds B. And I want you to use this format for the Mayo Clinic article. You need to have a minimum of 2 sentences for each, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So type it out like this, right? Mayo Clinic article, and then underneath number at 1 through 5, 2 sentences for each in your message you're sending me on Eds B. Then underneath of that, type Chicago Tribune article, and underneath of where you type Chicago Tribune article, type a minimum of 6 sentences where you're addressing all of these issues in step 3 that I talked about. All right, so that is assignment 3, which is the articles on heart health. And assignment 4 is another post and reply. So you're going to create a posting. You're going to post, let me fix this here. No, that's good. Post an interesting statement about the heart or circulatory system and reply to someone's statement about the heart and circulatory system. So once again, the post along with your reply to someone else's post and me keeping track of you logging into Eds B every day will be your attendance for this class, plus you'll get points for this assignment, for the post and for the reply. So step 1, look up something strange or interesting about the heart or circulatory system. Examples would be heart conditions like arthrosclerosis or heart arrhythmia. There's lots of different heart conditions, or anything about the circulatory system, the blood vessels, things like that. Find something strange and or interesting, right? Step 2, you're going to create a post on your biology classes page. Under where these assignments are listed, post a minimum of 1 complete sentence with your interesting fact. In your interesting fact, you must use 1 vocabulary term from the circulatory system notes. So if you say something about the heart, tell me what part of the heart you're talking about. The left atrium, the right ventricle, something like that. Tell me, is it the aorta? Give me a term, vocabulary term from the notes in your post. Step 3, you're going to reply to someone's interesting statement about the circulatory system. Your reply needs to be a full sentence. When you reply, make sure we know who you're replying to. Use the @ symbol and the person's name. People did a pretty good job the first week doing this. Not everybody, but make sure you do it so we know who you're talking to. So for example, if you read Jessica's post and you want to reply to Jessica, then write @Jessica, the @ symbol and Jessica, and then your reply, @Jessica. I thought that was really strange. I had never heard of heart arrhythmia before. I mentioned to my parents and my cousin has it. So there's your full reply. Don't just tell them that's cool, that's interesting. You need to actually say something about their post, okay? So that's this week's assignments. A couple people had questions about how to do the post and reply. So let me pull up Eds B and I'll show you exactly how to do that. So give me a second and I will pull up Eds B. I can find it. Okay. Here we go. All right, so here's Eds B. This was the week 1 assignments, right, that I posted on all of your periods pages. And if you scroll down to the bottom, at the bottom of the assignments posting, right here it says like, reply, pin, things like that. You're going to click reply, and then you can type your posting in here, right? Here's your interesting fact. Type it in right there, and then it looks like you can go under each person's post and you can hit reply. So I didn't see that before. So you could do one of 2 things. When you do your reply, you could go under their post and you could click reply to them. Or you could put the @ and then their name. You could do one of those two things, right? Make sure it shows up under their post if you go under theirs and hit reply. It looks like it's going to, but make sure it shows up so we know who you're talking about, right? And then I had a couple people also ask me, how do I get to the YouTube video, right? So here's the week's assignments. Right here at the bottom are all the links, right? Here's the YouTube video. If I click on this, boom, and then I click it again, that's going to take me to YouTube, and it's going to start playing the brain notes and week 1 assignments video, right? Right here's an example picture of what the quiz looks like when it shows up in your feed, right? And then right here is the article on neurons that was part of the first week's assignments. If I click it again, it's going to take me to the website with the article about neurons. So the 2 articles on heart health and the video and the picture example of what the quiz looks like when it shows up in your feed, all that stuff is going to be at the bottom. You can click on them right here to pull those up, okay? So those are all of the assignments for week 2. So let's get into the notes. All right, circulatory system notes. So here's a basic overview of how the circulatory system works, and in conjunction, working together with other systems in the body. So here's like a very basic drawing in the center, if you can see my cursor, of the circulatory system, is your heart, and it's pumping blood in and out of your heart. It goes to your lungs, and it picks up oxygen from the lungs. So it's working together there with your respiratory system, getting oxygen from the lungs. And then it circulates throughout your body, delivering that oxygen to parts of your body, such as to your intestines, to your upper body, your lower body, your brain, right? Delivering that oxygen. Your blood is also picking up excretions, waste from your systems, from your digestive system. It's picking up nutrients from your digestive system, and then it's delivering it back to other parts of your body, and then picking up more oxygen. So all of this is happening at the same time. All of these systems, the digestive system, the respiratory system, your excretory system for waste, all of them are working together like this all of the time, right? The purpose of the circulatory system is the flow of blood, nutrients, hormones, oxygen, and other gases to and from your cells. That is the main purpose of the circulatory system. So what is in the circulatory system? What needs to be transported? Things that need to be transported are nutrients and fuels that are coming from the digestive system, respiratory gases, oxygen and carbon dioxide from gas exchange in the system. So picking up oxygen in the lungs for air breathing organisms, and then dropping the carbon dioxide back off to the lungs to be exhaled. That is a byproduct of cellular respiration, right? What else is circulating in the circulatory system? Cell waste. Waste products from cells are picked up by the circulatory system to be gotten rid of. Water, salts, nitrogenous wastes, which make your urine and urea. Protective agents are in your circulatory system, such as immune defenses, antibodies, white blood cells, things like that. And then also platelets for blood clotting. When you cut yourself, platelets help keep you from bleeding to death. So these are all the things that are going around in your circulatory system and what they are doing all of the time. And then also regulatory molecules such as hormones. Hormones get reactions going inside of your body. All these things are circulating around in your body, and they all have their purposes, and it's happening in you all of the time. There's hormones, your regulatory molecules. So the vertebrate cardiovascular system, we have a chambered heart. We have a 4-chambered heart in humans. The atriums receive blood in your heart. Those are the chambers that receive blood. The ventricles pump blood out. Those are the chambers in your heart that pump blood out. Blood vessels, these are the tubes inside of your body that are carrying blood, your blood vessels. Arteries equal carrying blood away from the heart. Veins equal carrying blood back to the heart, returning blood to the heart. Capillaries are thin-walled blood vessels that are used for exchange and diffusion to deliver oxygen to the cells in your body, to pick up carbon dioxide, deliver nutrients to the cells in your body. Capillary beds are a network of capillaries. In all your limbs, your hands, your feet, and your brain, you have capillary beds that are delivering gases, picking up gases, delivering nutrients. Arteries are built for high pressure. They're built for high pressure. They have thicker walls. They provide strength for high pressure pumping of blood. They have a narrower diameter. When I say that something has a narrower diameter, if you can see my cursor down here at the bottom left, it means that it is smaller around, right? If this opening right here, if I say it has a narrower diameter, it is smaller around. If I say it has a larger diameter, then the opening would be larger around. Elasticity. Elastic recoil helps maintain blood pressure even when the heart relaxes. So these arteries, these blood vessels, right here I'm tracing with my cursor there, when the heart pumps, they expand like a rubber band. They are elastic like a rubber band, and then they will contract back. That elasticness, the expansion and then contraction, helps to keep the blood flowing through the body, right? Veins are built for low pressure flow because they're going back to the heart. So they have lower pressure inside of them. They have a thinner wall. They don't have to have as thick a wall as arteries because they have lower pressure. They have a wider diameter. So this opening right here, a wider diameter, it is bigger around inside. These veins are bigger around inside. Blood travels back to the heart at low velocity and pressure. So lower pressure, they're more distant from the heart. Veins are more distant from the heart. Blood must flow by skeletal muscle contractions when moving. So you can see in this picture right here, this is a vein that is going through a muscle. This is muscle tissue. This is muscle tissue. So the contracting of your muscles, the moving of your muscles is helping to push that blood back to your heart. And then you can see these valves here. So this blood is flowing upward. See the arrows going upward here, right? And as it flows upward, these valves will close behind it. Each time the heart beats, when it relaxes, these valves close, and that keeps blood from flowing back toward the heart. So that's helpful for the veins because they have lower pressure. They squeeze blood through the veins. Your valves, in large veins, you have one-way valves that allow blood flow only toward the heart. So that's what I was talking about with these valves in here, to keep blood from flowing back the other direction. All right, so here's a big diagram of your circulatory system. We have the systemic circuit on top here, which is blood flowing to and from the extremities of your body, your upper body, your arms, your chest, your head. And then also on the bottom here, this is part of the systemic circuit, going to and from your legs and the bottom part of your body. The pulmonary circuit is the circuit of the circulatory system that goes to and from your lungs, picking up blood and taking carbon dioxide back to the lungs, and then going back to the heart and being pumped through the systemic circuit to the other parts of your body. And then you're going to use this picture here in your circulatory system drawing. Make sure you get all these parts here. You show the blood flow, see the arrows in the picture. Make sure you color the arteries red and the veins blue, all right? So systemic, pulmonary. So what do blue versus red areas represent, right? Which areas are blood vessels that have oxygen in the blood, and which areas are blood vessels that do not have oxygen in the blood, right? The areas that are red are coming from the lungs and they have oxygen in them. The areas that are blue are going back to the lungs with blood that does not have oxygen in it. That's what the red and the blue represent. So here's a view of the mammalian heart with all of the parts of the heart there. So make sure you get those also in your drawing. I want all those areas of the heart. And then also show the blood flow in the heart as well. So you can see where blood is coming from the lungs. So right here, these arrows here, this is blood coming into the heart from the lungs. Over here as well, this is blood coming into the heart from the lungs. So it's going to go into the heart and then down through this chamber here, and then it gets pumped out to the neck and head through the aorta right here, right? And then after it delivers oxygen to the parts of the body, then you can see here, it's coming back to the heart again through this anterior vena cava, and then through the chambers of the heart, and then up through here, and then it's going back out to the lungs to pick up more oxygen here. That's why this section is blue, because this is blood that is low in oxygen here, and then this section of the heart here and here is red because these sections have blood with oxygen in them. So make sure in your drawing that you're getting this as well, all right? Coronary arteries. You can see here over to the left, we have these arteries that are surrounding the heart. These are your coronary arteries. When someone has a heart attack, one of their coronary arteries is clogged with fat or cholesterol that builds up, clogs inside your heart or your blood vessels. And then blood with oxygen in it cannot get to the parts of the heart. So that would be part of atherosclerosis, something you need to know for this unit. Atherosclerosis is the hardening of the blood vessels and possibly a clog in the blood vessels or the coronary arteries. So here's another picture of the coronary arteries, right? Here's, this is a preserved heart with the oxygenated blood vessels in red and the deoxygenated blood vessels in blue. And then over here, if someone has a clog, you can see right here, look at my cursor, the tip right there. That would be a blood clog or clot in a coronary artery. And you might have heard of before when someone gets heart surgery and they have a bypass, heard of a bypass before, because they have a clog in their artery. What they'll do is they'll take a blood vessel from another spot in their body, possibly from a leg, and they will transfer it to their heart. And you can see they attached it, the doctor attached it right here before the clog, and then attaches it up here to this larger blood vessel so that blood can flow around that clog. So that would be a bypass. So if somebody says they had a triple heart bypass, that means that they had 3 of those, right? That's why you want to exercise and eat healthy. We don't want to end up like this. The heart valves. There are 4 valves in the heart. These are flaps of connective tissue. So there are 4 chambers to the heart. So one chamber here, second chamber here, third chamber here, and fourth chamber right here. Those are the chambers. The valves are in between each chamber. So in between this chamber and the next chamber, this right here I'm tracing with my cursor is the atrioventricular heart valve, the AV valve right here. And then right up here at the top of this chamber, this is another heart valve. All of them are labeled in the diagram. And then over here on this side of the heart, from this chamber to the next chamber, this right here, it's open right now because the valves open and close, but this is another heart valve right here. And then right up here at the top, the tip of my cursor right there, that's the fourth heart valve right there. What do? They prevent backflow in the heart. We don't want blood to go back the wrong direction. The atrioventricular valves, or the AV valves, are labeled AV. Right, here's AV, AV there. They're between the atriums and the ventricles. It keeps blood from flowing back into the atria when the ventricles contract. Your heart makes like a lub-dub noise. If you listen to your heartbeat, it sounds kind of like lub-dub, 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 right? The first part of that noise is those AV valves closing. So your heartbeat is not actually the muscles contracting in your heart. Some people think that's what it is. It's actually when the valves close, when those valves hit back together, like right here or right here, when they hit back together, that's what's making your heart beat. So the first part of that, the lub of the lub-dub, lub-dub, the first part is the AV valves closing. Then we have the semilunar valves. So here's a semilunar valve right here, and then the other semilunar valve is right here, kind of tucked behind. Right? The semilunar valves are between the ventricle and the arteries. They prevent backflow from arteries into ventricles while they are relaxing. So when the heart relaxes, it contracts and it pushes blood, and then when it relaxes, those semilunar valves are closed to keep blood from backflowing. And that is the dub noise. So if your heart goes lub-dub, 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 the first part of that, your heartbeat, is the AV valves closing. The second part is the semilunar valves closing. Heart sounds. Go ahead and pull all this up. There we go. All right, so heart sounds are the closing of the valves. The lub sound is the AV valves closing. It's blood, recoiling of the blood against the AV valves, the atrioventricular valves. The dub sound, the second noise, is the recoiling of blood against the semilunar valves. So lub-dub, lub-dub. It's the blood hitting those valves when the valves close. A heart murmur is a defect in the valves that causes a hissing sound when a stream of blood squirts backwards through the valve. Excuse me. So in this valve right here, this AV valve, if when it closed, it didn't seal all the way, and in between heartbeats when it was closed, if there was a little bit of blood that would seep back the other direction, when you would listen to that person's heartbeat, you could hear it seeping back through. In between the heartbeats, you could hear like a tss, and doctors are used to listening for that noise, and that's what's known as a heart murmur, right? The measurement of blood pressure. A healthy blood pressure is about 120 over 170. So the 120, that's the pressure, the millimeters of mercury, you can see here on these blood pressure cuffs. That's the pressure, which is measured in millimeters of mercury, that is in your systemic circuit. So that is blood coming from the heart. The systemic circuit, it's at a higher pressure. That's why the pressure is higher, right? Makes sense? And then this other number, 70, this is the systemic, let's see, pull up here, is the diastolic pressure. So 70 is the diastolic pressure. That is blood going back to the heart. That's why it has a lower pressure like that. So you want to have a blood pressure that is about 120 over 70. And then the pressure is measured in millimeters of mercury. And it's measured with a blood pressure cuff. Fancy name for a blood pressure cuff is a sphygmomanometer. You don't have to remember that for the test, but it's called a sphygmomanometer. Right. All right, so here's a chart on blood pressure that shows your systolic, which is blood coming from the heart, and you're on the bottom here on the x-axis, it's your diastolic, it's blood going back to the heart, and this would be low blood pressure. So if you were 90 over 60, that would be considered low blood pressure. If you're somewhere between 90 and 120 for systolic and between 60 and 80 for diastolic, that's ideal blood pressure. And then if we get over 120 for systolic, that's where we're getting into high blood pressure. If we get over 80 for diastolic, that's where we're getting into high blood pressure. High blood pressure is bad because it's putting more pressure on your heart. It's making your heart work harder, and your heart's not going to last as long if it has to work harder, right? And that could be caused by a blockage somewhere. The heart has to pump harder because you have a blockage somewhere. Some people, it's just a genetic thing that they have higher blood pressure, and you might ask your parents, see if that runs in your family. When you get older, some people just have to be on some kind of medication for high blood pressure because it runs in their family. You want to be careful about your heart, right? You want that heart to last a long time. So you want to exercise, eat healthy. All of those things are going to help you to have good blood pressure. All right, so if you have any questions, email me and let me know. Other than that, that is the heart notes. Let me tell you one more thing that I may have forgotten about. All right, so look at this picture here. Students always get confused on this, so make sure you're paying attention. Why in this picture is the left side of the heart labeled right atrium and right ventricle, and the right side of the heart labeled left atrium and left ventricle? Do you get it? Why is it like that? It's like that because it's like you're looking at someone, right? So imagine here's the person's head, right? If this person is looking at you, your right side, this would be your right side, would be their left side. Do you get what I mean? So this guy, right, when he's looking at you, he's turned the opposite direction. He's facing you. So this is actually his right atrium and his right ventricle, and this is his left atrium and his left ventricle. So the picture is correct. So make sure you know that when you see it on a test or a diagram or anything, or when you draw your diagram, it needs to be like this, as if you're looking at someone. Otherwise, it's incorrect. All right? All right. Email me with any questions. I hope you're doing good. Miss seeing you guys every day. All right. And have a good week. All right. Thanks.